Serious crystal limbs activate! Sorry, I had to. It's necessary.
Very
Hello,
necessary.
quads. Welcome to another episode of the Crystal Thems, a Steven Universe rewatch podcast. I'm Liz, and with me, as always, is my favorite co-host ever, Squid.
Hello, I'm Squid. Hello, nice to. I was gonna say see, but I can't see you all, so hear you within the. Ignore what I'm saying. Hi,
Great start.
happy to have you all.
Today, we are talking about Season 1, Episode 8, Serious Steven. And for a little synopsis, this is the episode where Steven joins the Crystal Gems on a mission to recover a gem. Surprise, surprise. And he tries to prove himself worthy and serious. I really had to boil that down because actually a lot happens.
So much happens in this episode. This episode aired on January 13th of 2014. It is number 7 in the production code, despite airing as the 8th episode. It was written by Joe Johnston and storyboarded by Jeff Liu. It had 1.347 million viewers within the US upon airing. And this is the first episode of 2014.
2014. I was almost graduating college.
Where was I? In high school, I believe.
Point out how much older I am than you.
Yeah, I was midway through high school, just switching from public high school to homeschooling for
No,
1
I
year.
lied. I was already out of college. I was out of college and living where I live now. I'm
Fancy.
really old.
Nah.
Not old.
No, not old at all. But I will say this episode was a lot happens. So much happens in this episode.
A lot happens. I feel like we're kind of starting to get, not that we have that Steven growth, but I feel like we're really starting to enter into that like part of season 1 where it is about Steven learning about himself and the crystal gems and where he stands in the whole thing, which was kind of exciting to see.
It is also the episode where we get a lot of background storytelling about the gems and the gem empire as a whole. It happens later on, so we'll get to that when we get there. But we get a lot of background information about the war that will be more relevant later in the series.
100%. This is the first time that we learned that there was battle. I don't think they've ever mentioned this before, about the fact that there was like a big battle or multiple big battles. This is kind of the first time we are hearing and seeing this.
I believe it is also the first time we see a depiction of White Diamond.
And I believe, if I'm correct, I think you also see one of Yellow Diamond too.
I think
which I wrote down in my notes we can get to when we actually get to that part. But yeah, the first time you see Diamond. I think it's also the first time you really get a full depiction of Rose Quartz because we've only ever seen her like torso. I don't think we've seen the full portrait in the house yet.
No, we have not. And once again, closed eyes as always.
As always.
But I mean, starting the episode, the first I think frame is Steven who looks freaked out of his mind. And
yeah, with the ringing.
Exactly.
Like the ringing noise and stuff, and you just hear like general like sirens and panic and chaos.
Exactly. Steven is having a little bit of a bad time.
Yes, and it doesn't, I mean, you don't really see, they don't really tell you that it was what happened other than like, everyone's disoriented. There's no like indication what the event was.
Yeah, you just kind of are sat with it, and then it's 2 weeks later.
2 weeks. So this is the first time they've done like a jump forward in time kind of thing.
Yeah, at least in the episodes. So yeah.
Yeah, because the way they kind of make it look like is that there was a gem attack.
Yeah, that Steven was.
Like he's getting a fight. Amethyst looks like she's passed out. Even like Pearl looks like she's like discombobulated, and obviously there's Steven and everything's destroyed. And you're like, was there a gem attack?
And then no information, just Steven freaked out, destruction around him, and then it's 2 weeks later.
And they're in a warp tube.
Yeah, in the warp. It's supposed to be, to my knowledge, light, like physical light travel, because the gems are not real. Like their forms are made of light, which is why they are just kind of static whenever they're in the tubes, but Steven and his physical items always move around.
Yeah, which is what's happening is that Steven is upside down and of course gets flipped around and then has his ukulele and Pearl's like, "Why do you have this?" And Steven's like, "'Cause it's mine and I like it and I was excited," which is adorable.
This is very accurate for small children.
Very accurate. "Why did you bring your Hot Wheel to the grocery store?" "'Cause I wanted
And you're
to."
like,
Don't lose it.
honestly,
Immediately
I
loses it.
I understand the Hot Wheel should see what the grocery store is like. Very cool. You do need to keep track of it.
100%. Yeah, please don't lose it. Which is what happened is he raises his arms up and his ukulele starts to float away and Steven like swims up the light tube
Yeah.
while of course Pearl is freaking out.
Which we also know the gems can't do that because we've seen them, they don't move in the tubes and can't. Every time they try to get to him, they're just static. So it reinforces that Steven is incredibly organic and can move around in ways that the gems can't.
I mean, even when they land, the gems kind of like phase in very like old school Star Trek or like I guess actually probably be like Next Generation where it's like the lines of their body kind of appear.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Steven like pops out.
They are pure beings of light, and Steven is a very fleshy boy. He's a meat boy.
Fleshy boy, but it's fine because he lands in some strawberries.
He lands in some strawberries. I did some interesting digging about why strawberries.
Oh yeah.
Why are they strawberries? And at least I'm not finding any information from Rebecca or any of the creative team on why they chose strawberries. But
Mm-hmm.
funny enough, strawberries symbolically are symbols of healing. They are things that often get planted over battlefields because they grow well in hard soil and they're, signs of healing and rebirth. And also, creepy thing, can sometimes grow well in very blood soaked and iron rich areas. I don't think that's what they were going for. I think they just had the healing idea in mind. But that is interesting.
It's really cool. I didn't know that. I did know, according that I learned from the Steven Universe Wiki, which shout out to Steven Universe Wiki. This is Norway. This is supposedly in Norway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what it says is that it's the gem battlefield in Norway. And I was like, I was not aware Norway existed in this world.
Yeah, I mean, they're on Earth. So I
Right.
guess.
I just didn't know, because I mean, Beach City's kind of in its own like made up area along the coast.
Mhm. It's close to New York.
I mean, at least you get that sense because much, much later episodes. But yeah, apparently this is supposed to be Norway? Question mark?
Mhm.
Question mark?
I know the only thing that doesn't exist in this world is Russia. Russia's not real in
Right.
Steven Universe.
Russia's not real. Yeah, exactly. So they land in strawberries. He's covered in strawberry, which would drive me insane.
Just mashed up strawberries.
Just too sticky. And then he is proceeded to be attacked by. Honestly, I think these butterflies do look like they're giant.
They are huge.
They are huge.
I don't think these are normal butterflies. I think
They can't be.
because one, they look like the same butterflies from way later with Here Comes the Thought. They're the same types of butterflies. And I'm wondering, are these crystal butterflies? Because this a dark moment, but this is a battlefield where I assume gems were shattered. Did those tiny gem pieces become butterflies or part of the environment, which is also why the strawberries are so huge and why this is so fertile? Is just the gems
I
are
mean, they
returned to the
have
earth.
to be something because they are massive. I mean, these strawberries are huge.
Exactly. They
They
are
gotta be
huge.
something.
But also, I mean, we know that when gems are made, they suck the resources dry of an area, so presumably their remains would return those resources.
That is very true. But yeah, I mean, could be that the butterflies also have a residual effect, a residual, what's the word I'm trying to think of, like growth
From being around
from this.
gems.
Yeah.
But they do attack Steven for being covered in strawberry sauce, and butterflies do love sugar, so.
Butterflies do love sugar, so it does in fact make sense.
Where Steven starts screaming because he is being covered in giant butterflies, which is a little bit scary.
I respect that. I would also be screaming if I was covered in butterflies.
Yeah. The gems just kind of
And
watch
I
him.
love that the gyms are just watching. They're like, "Okay,
And
interesting."
just kind of watch Steven run around for a bit until he falls over, and then Garnet steps in and is like, "They're just butterflies." Okay.
"You're fine, buddy."
Yeah. To which Steven is still a little freaked out. He's like, "Hey, well, they were worse when they were on me," which again, so accurate.
They look much worse when they're on your eyes. I agree, they do look bigger when they're on your eyes.
Mhm. Pearl in the background deciding maybe this is a bad idea and we should send the tiny child home, which I mean maybe just a little bit. I don't know if he's ready for this yet.
Not ready for this. He's already in so much trouble, and it's been, like, 3
You
seconds.
haven't even gotten to the actual gem part. Just physically being in the area has caused a problem for him. But we do see them decide to keep going, and they cut to walking around in the strawberry fields, and there are a lot of broken swords and shields.
This is probably honestly, I think my favorite background
Mhm.
of I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I might regret this in later episodes. I would say this is probably my favorite background of the entire show.
It's such a good one, and there are so many little details. I did not realize until I rewatched it a couple times. Each of these swords has a gemstone on it, which we know they used gems for weapons and armor. So these might all be gems. We're just kind of stuck there because they're items.
I was thinking to myself because all the times we've seen the crystal gems use their weapons thus far, they've kinda, like, poofed back when they were done with them or, did, like, the shrink light thing.
Mhm.
So, I mean, is it because a piece of gem is still in or is it because a lot of these gems were broken and then mutated? Is that they still exist because the gems themselves still
Well,
exist?
we know they have actual external armor and weapons because Bismuth were to make weapons and armor. So I assume they had the weapons they summon and then
Right.
actual weapons. Also, I don't know if most gems have weapons. It would make sense for like things like rubies and garnets and amethysts who are fighter gems, but we know that the war was all of them, and I don't think all gems can make weapons. Peridot, I don't believe can, and Lapis can't. So
That's true. That is a good point. I sometimes forget that bit not that I don't forget I love bismuth, but I sometimes forget that the gems did not have just their, like, weapons, they had other weapons.
yeah, they get. I guess I wonder if that was the power of crystal gems was the fact that they could all summon a weapon when that's not because I can't imagine pearls for any reason needing a weapon.
Right, I can't either.
So Pearl having her own is out of place. I can understand Amethyst and Garnet having weapons, as we know from further episodes. Their type of gems are generals and warriors, so it makes sense to summon them. But even then, the most notable type of well, not Amethyst, but same type of gem, Jasper, doesn't have a weapon. It's a helmet. So
That's true, it's kind of they create it. So maybe some gems that are built that way do in fact have this specialty, can summon their own armor, weapons, stuff like that.
yeah, but for the other gems, they need one physically so that they can start fighting. I mean, also it might just be we need a bunch of weapons, and it's easier to make them than if you're tired. Summoning a weapon that will poof if I stab you is kind of useless.
Mhm.
It is littered with weapons, and they all have some have regular designs, but others have gemstones in them.
Yeah, it's really for being something that's not overly detailed. I mean, the colors are outside the box, like it's obviously not meant to be the super detailed background. They give you a lot of information.
Mhm. Oh, and the thing I'm forgetting that's most important, humans fought with the gems. So humans would definitely need regular swords. I forgot about
I
that.
don't I don't remember that.
Rose mentions that some humans fought alongside them, or at least helped. She said helped, which I'm assuming would also mean fighting. I don't think humans would just kind of take this lying down. So some of
That's
them
fair.
would probably need a single weapon. I don't think they'd last very long in this fight, but they would try.
That's a good point, actually.
I completely forgot about humans for a moment.
I honestly completely forgot that humans were
This show is about gems, and every other human who isn't part of Beach City doesn't exist to me.
Totally forget that they exist.
There's gems, and then there's Beach City, and no one else.
That's all that's
It's
real.
all that's real.
I totally forgot. So yeah, maybe it's the humans and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that is definitely different from this gorgeous background is a giant upside down pyramid
Yeah,
that's just standing there,
it's just kind of
not covered in strawberries, not covered in moss,
just
just
sitting there.
looming.
And it's definitely been here a while, but it's just kind of sitting there. And they all
It's
kind of
kind of scary
pause.
looking.
It is.
Yeah, because it stands out a lot in this background of, gorgeous strawberry. I mean, it's obviously sad because this was a place where obviously a lot of people died, but it's gorgeous background. I guess it's very, very quickly when they are walking into the temple because Garnet produces that key.
Yes.
When they're walking into the temple, there is just a little bit. You see, there's like strawberries growing on the very, very top of this.
Yeah.
There's like some strawberry bushes on the very, very top. So, I mean, that kind of shows it's been there for a long time. It's a quick because then like clouds cover it.
Hmm.
But that's when we walk in and we see for the first time
We do.
white diamond.
We do. We see a portrait of early design white diamond. We also see that's the part that so we the side portrait is definitely white diamond, but then the one in the center is that rose quartz is fighting against. Is that white diamond or is
I
that
think that's
someone
also white
else?
diamond. So when you very first walk in, you get like a full look at it. There is a being standing in the sun who I think is supposed to be yellow diamond because their hair kind of looks yellow diamondy.
Hmm.
And then I believe the one facing rose quartz is white diamond. And then you get a better look at a white diamond because it's different from the yellow diamond. It has all the hands around it.
Yeah.
All the hands, like, because she's the diamond.
Yeah. That's because I would think that, but also this it seems like this is the battle that was happening on this field, and I don't know if White Diamond ever came to Earth.
After the battle, I think it's just supposed to be depicting
Okay.
Rose Quartz standing against White Diamond. Because, I mean, obviously, this is I would say, a homeworld ship.
Hmm.
Because if you look through, like if I've paused it. Also along the walls underneath the big stuff is essentially the traps Stephen and Garnet will face. And it has those like little figures that are surrounding Rose Course. I'm assuming it'd be like the Crystal Gems, her army. They're all in these traps, and like there's one where there's like one falling. So I think this is supposed to be depicting, White Diamond defeating tricking and defeating the crystal gems and being raised up as a hero is kind of how I'm reading it.
Yes. That makes sense. Also, what I believe it's just called the Pyramid Temple, right? Does it have a name?
I think it's Pyramid Tilt, according to once again our friends at Steven Universe Wiki, which it's just Pyramid Temple Delta
Okay.
is kind of what it's referred to as. Inverted Pyramid Delta Temple.
Yes. Okay. Inverted Pyramid the Delta Temple.
But my brain is like, oh, the Legend of Zelda-esque temple.
Fair.
Because it's super Legend of Zelda.
I mean, that tracks.
I mean, just the music alone is like, and I was like, oh, this is some like Ocarina of Time, and how the doors close and everything.
Hmm.
And then I felt very vindicated when I looked through the Steven Universe wiki, and it was like, yeah, the layout and the music of this temple is heavily influenced by Legend of Zelda, and I was like, oh, I knew it.
Yes.
Great.
You got it. I did not clock that. I was like, I took until I actually saw the wiki that I go, oh, this is Zelda. I was wrong. I was immediately wrong. Did not see that.
Yeah, my brain is very logged into Ocarina of Time because it is my OG Legend of Zelda game that I played growing up. So I'm like very tuned into the vibes.
No. Fair. But
So they walk into it, and Steven, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say you are right. These are all of the trials, and then Steven does his little echo thing.
And you get you're the best. Thank you, Temple.
Exactly.
I which I adore so much.
I adore how excited Steven gets about everything.
Yes, that childlike wonder is so endearing.
It is endearing. It does also get him into immediate trouble a lot of the time.
With right now, 'cause he does the thing that drives me insane
Don't
when
touch it.
people touch things that they shouldn't.
I, Steven, you know everything in here is inherently dangerous. Why would you touch it? What would make you think that's okay?
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it. Which is what Pearl immediately runs over and says, Steven, what did we tell you? And it's, to never actually touch anything. He's like, yep. Yeah, well, thanks for that. It's a little late now because Steven touches in the center of the room, there's a little floating upside down pyramid. And of course, Steven touches it and it flips over to a right side up pyramid, which sends all of the gems.
Immediately, yeah, sends them all flying up. Well, rising, falling. They're not really falling. They're flying up.
Yeah. It reverses gravity.
Yes.
So now they go the up the temple to a floor where all of the where they fall up a tube, then down the tube because gravity switches halfway through, I guess, and fall into a room. The ceiling sort of closes so they can't escape, and then all of the sconces on the wall light on fire, and they are in the center of a room filled with doors.
I mean, and really, dear Claudes, listen to this music because it is truly Ocarina of Time temple music. Or not Temple of Time, but like temple music from Ocarina of Time. I was like, oh, I recognize this kind of stuff happening. But you're correct, they are surrounded by these doorways, and Pearl does the very Pearl thing of Stephen and I will stay here. You two figure out what's going on.
Which would be a little bit safe, I suppose.
Would be much safer. Then you have the complete pendulum swing the other way of Amethyst being like, "Oh no, no. Stephen and I will go together."
No. Which Pearl says the correct thing, which you two are a disaster waiting to happen. Correct.
Yep.
Don't let them.
So Amethyst said, "Don't let them." I mean, she's learning. So, Amethyst picks Stephen up, Pearl takes him back, and you have Garnet, which I adore, which this comes up a few times. Just like, I mean, it's not the blind faith that Garnet had, because that's just not the right term. Just like the Garnet's ability to both talk to Stephen and like, keep him safe, treat him as a kid, but also being like, "You're growing up, we need to give you responsibility."
Exactly. Uh,
And her just being like, "Oh no, like Steven and I will do this."
yes. Because Garnet trusts Steven to want to do a good job, even if he's not always capable, he's trying. And I think Garnet sees
Yeah.
that more than the other gems.
Yeah, I mean, she sees him both as the kid he is, but also the fact that he is growing up and that he has to acknowledge that he's not just a regular kid.
Exactly.
Which is, something that like it really addressed later in the show, is that he's not just a kid. He does have these like big responsibilities that he's expected to fulfill, whether he wants to or not. He does have expectations that are put on him.
Hmm.
But Garnet does such a great job at both instilling the importance of what Steven's heritage is while also still treating him like a kid.
Yes. Like he gets to have fun and learn about these things, but he does need to learn about them.
Correct. Absolutely.
But yeah,
And also, I'm just really happy we have like our first true like hardcore Garnet episode.
I know. I Garnet's my favorite gem. So I'm so happy to see her all the time. Every time.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then we do get Steven going with Garnet, and he does his Hysteria Steven. Well, he starts it. Yeah, but Pearl is
He
still holding
starts
him.
it. Right. So, you get to like, Pearl, can you put me down? I need you to put me down for me to be able to do that.
I do love just quietly Pearl going, oh, of course, yeah, sorry. Just fully like she
Right.
forgot she was
Pearl,
holding Steven.
forgot she was holding, but she's like, oh, I can't mess up his, like, she also is like, oh, he has to do a thing. Hold on.
Exactly. A very indulgent parent of like, I'm gonna let him do he has a little dance he likes to do. Let him do that, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, but we get the very ominous, oh, this could be the teacups all over again.
No, oh,
So that's kind of the first hint that maybe the opening moment was Steven's fault, which we really haven't gotten before.
I mean, yeah,
That's kind of our first hint that maybe he had something to do with the opening.
Yeah, because instead of a gem battle, as we thought, it might be something both more serious for Steven, but also less serious for the gems, where it's less of a world threat and more of a something happened to Steven, or Steven caused
Yes,
something.
exactly. I like that it's not automatically, we kind of have to think it through. Then we get the banger of a song. Ooh, we're going on a magic treasure hunt for some magic treasure junk. Something, something magic, something, something.
I love that. Listen, there's only so many words you can rhyme when you don't know what's happening.
Huh, yeah. Yeah. But they get to their first trap.
Yeah. Which is a fairly reasonable trap of you have to stay on the glowing tiles. Don't step on those. I know that there are arcade rooms that have that exact game of you have to stay on the
Yes.
glowing tiles. Granted, the danger in the arcade rooms is not as severe as the danger.
The floor falling out. I was getting Dungeons and Dragon vibes.
Yeah, very much a hey, we have a dungeon crawl to do. Can you please stay on the light up tiles and do not
Yeah, this
step
was
out of them?
the DM was like, all right, trap number 1.
Yes.
Here we go.
I mean,
And then by the third one, it's like, I don't know, just ugh,
it's random traps.
everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've given you this exact trap before
You have in fact given me this exact trap before.
where it's, hey, step on these specific tiles and don't step on the other ones or I think the walls were going to crush you. I don't
No, I
remember what
think
it
they
was.
fell through. If I remember correctly, they also fell through.
Oh, then I may have unconsciously stolen this directly from Steven Universe. Just gone.
I appreciate that. It's a good trap.
It's a good. I mean, yeah. Stay on the light up tiles, or the floor will fall. Is a very simple trap that seems easy until what happens to Steven, which is the room shakes a little bit and he falls over.
Yeah, we get serious Steven go and he jumps through, the floor shakes, he falls, and then everything turns red and the floor just starts falling into fire.
Exactly.
And Steven does too. He falls.
Yeah, because he falls over onto the wrong tile when the room shakes, and where I do have questions about the dimensions of this room of this
Hmm.
entire pyramid because it did not seem this big on the outside. But
It definitely did not. Also, we're just going, jumping ahead when you see the room is actually, twisting and turning. They're just on pyramids.
yeah, it's
So,
I guess
like, are the pyramids supposed to represent the different room?
I think so. I mean, we know the rooms can be huge because the temple, for example, they can all teleport between rooms, and those rooms are huge, but the temple's not nearly that big. So I guess gems
Yes,
have just mastered
it's
TARDIS
that
technology.
wib yeah, I was gonna say it's that wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff,
Yes.
where it's just bigger on the
It's
inside.
bigger on the inside, don't question it. Actually, it's smaller on the outside.
It's smaller on the outside. But yeah, Steven falls, and Garnet, as Garnet always does, rolls up to save him, and Steven's just giggling and then realizes, oh no, I'm supposed to be serious.
Yep. Two things. One, the way Garnet parkoured through those falling blocks only to stop not by grabbing onto anything, but by smashing her legs through one of the
Through
blocks.
the
So
block.
she just physically is stuck there and I went, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. That's so cool.
I mean, also that she's like holding herself up by like one leg like embedded in a block.
Her core strength
So
is
awesome.
amazing.
It's super awesome. But I did say parkour, parkour,
Exactly.
when she was parkouring.
Yeah. Also, Steven singes his hair a little bit.
He does, it catches on fire, and then I love that it stays into the next scene, and like he has that little chunk missing out of his hair.
Yeah, his hair was on fire.
And he puts it out, now he's starting to sweat a little bit. No pun intended, because his hair was just on
Yeah.
fire.
But he is getting a little bit freaked out because his life was in danger just seconds ago. And while, yes, it was funny, you might die, kiddo. So let's be a little bit more serious about this.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean Garnet does the same thing again where she is both coaching him of being like, "Oh, like you might set off another trap with those guns, with this gun show." Being like reminding him to be careful while also instilling the confidence in him.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And he does the thing again where he touches something.
Exactly. He gets a little too confident and he goes, I'm confident, so I'm going to start walking around and touching stuff. Hey, there's these triangles on the wall. That means there must be lots of triangles in this room. And he pushes into the wall and spikes fall from the ceiling. So, I mean, there were triangles. They're triangles of death, and they're here to stab you.
But Garnet, once again, is here to save the day, and Steven just has that, like, blind confidence that Garnet will always keep him safe, that he starts to tune his ukulele, and Garnet's like, "Bro."
Not right. Exactly, because he's running. He gets scratched up by one of the. He like, narrowly misses Spikes falling, which rips up his shirt and his ukulele, and he drops it and then decides, oh no, my ukulele, and starts tuning it, which I understand, Steven. That's incredible. Yeah, don't want it to be broken. Now is definitely not the time while Garnet is standing above you, holding up spikes by punching them away. You
Yeah.
you gotta do something more productive right now.
Priorities, son. Priorities.
The priority is not your ukulele. It should be your life.
It should be your life. And now we're to the room that's just the room for traps. Because we have swinging axes, we have spikes in the ground, we have lava pouring, and another like spiky droppy guy that then catches on fire.
It's just a bad time. And Steven clocks that immediately that this is too stressful for even him. Also, what an awful trap to just exist in. Everything is bad.
Everything is bad.
I know that the gyms don't have physical forms, but this trap is just mean. It's just a mean place.
Bad. It is just not a happy home. It is not, we're not here for this.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if this was on the battlefield, they're assuming that the types of gems who will be there are gems like rubies, who we know are immune to fire entirely. So maybe half of this is just like, well, the ruby's not actually going to get burned by the lava or the fire, but it will physically hinder them from seeing. But still, too much. There's too much happening in this room.
I was kind of expecting, like Gem Shark to jump up at one point and be like, arr, arr, arr.
See, I was expecting sharks with lasers.
Ooh, sharks with lasers would have been really good, but let's see gem sharks.
Gem sharks with gem lasers.
Yeah, that'd be intense.
It is.
It'd be like camping. It's intense.
Exactly. Which is exactly what Garnet says. She says, get ready, Steven. This is going to be intense.
Yep. Which then we get another 2 weeks before, 2 weeks ago. Was it exactly? It is
2 weeks earlier.
2 weeks earlier. And we start off with the line that Garnet just said, like, hey, I think this is a really smart way to provide the background information while also cutting up the monotony of, like, going through traps.
Yes. Because
I thought this was just, like, a really smart place to put this.
Yeah, because as intense / wild as the previous trap room was, it's not. It wouldn't be 100% interesting to just watch Garnet solo these traps because she's going to do well. So this isn't hard for her. So as cool as she is, she's just gonna
jump through.
Yeah, and that would be kind of a waste to watch. So instead, let's give some background about why this is like the teacups all over again.
Correct. And I just thought it was a really interesting way to do that.
Yes.
We see Mr. Smiley again in a teacup ride, and everyone's up on it. So obviously they're like spinning around and the teacups are spinning just massively high in the air.
Yes. My favorite part of this is Pearl just going, I severely misunderstood the point of this ride.
Teapot! Yeah, Pearl and Amethyst are in this spinning teacup. Amethyst is passed out asleep, and Pearl has a teapot.
Exactly. She's just standing there.
I misunderstood the point of this.
I love it. Pearl has... It's not like this is a new thing. Pearl, you had to have had the concept of rides and teacup rides around you, just was not paying attention for centuries, and it's like, oh, we're pouring tea into the tea. How do we ride? And was she prepared to sit in a teacup full of tea and just ride around?
She fully was, because Steven was really excited for this, and he's like, yeah, we're going on the teacup ride, and she was like, oh, well, if there's a teacup, we should bring our own tea, because that's proper.
Bring our own I have to know if that cup is boiling, if it's full of boiling hot water.
I think she was expecting teacups to pop out of it. Or it could be full of boiling hot water. And that's why Amethyst is napping.
Yeah, no, her teapot, if it's full of boiling hot water, is she just holding that?
It for sure is. She is just holding a teapot of boiling hot water.
That's so dangerous, Pearl. That's the most dangerous thing you could be doing on this ride.
I fully believe that is a full teapot.
Just, if that falls even a little, someone's going to get severe burns. But no, that's
my favorite part. I think, please, any Claudes who are cosplayers, please someone cosplay as Pearl holding a teapot.
Just severely misunderstood the point of this ride.
I'm begging you.
Yeah, so yeah, Pearl and Amethyst are in their cup, and then Garnet and Steven are in another, and Steven's getting a little queasy.
Right? Amethyst is like, isn't this fun? And Steven's not doing well. Very much like me when I go on carnival rides, I don't do well with them. And Steven does the only responsible thing. Jumps out of this ride.
Steven, you cannot do things like that. That's incredibly dangerous. Keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Please do not exit until you've been given your warning.
Nope, he just jumps out, lands on Smiley, the ride breaks. Now we see the chaos where, I mean, I'm just saying this ride broke really too easily.
Yeah. Well, it did break because Steven landed on Mr. Smiley and he pulled down on the lever, which snapped it. And I'm assuming it just started
Right.
going too fast.
Going too fast and flung everyone. I appreciate the creators, like, we have to show that everyone is safe.
Exactly. Some people fell
So,
in the
like, the
ocean
creators,
and they're fine.
they pop out. We see everyone else who's like on the riding the other teacups, and they're all kind of like looking at Steven. And Mr. Smiley grabs Steven and tells him that he is banned for all rides forever. Now, my question to you, Squid,
Yes.
do you think Steven has been banned before, or is this just like the last straw for Mr. Smiley?
I think this is the last straw. I think he's definitely had moments where Steven has gotten into trouble and he's just annoyed by it, but never really felt the need to ban him. I mean, even before in Bubble Buddies, he got on the roller coaster and not the right way, but Mr. Smiley didn't stop him from going near any of the rides. But later on in the series, Mr. Smiley will just physically stop Steven and go, "Nope, you know you can't get on any of the rides."
Yes. I was gonna say, because I mean, last week we had, or last episode we had, Steven and Connie getting on the tracks and Mr. Smiley freaking out. So I agree. I think this is just Mr. Smiley's last straw, and he was like, I cannot with this child.
This is too much for
He
him.
is stressing me out. He's costing me too much money.
Also, yeah, how much money has he had to spend in repairs? This teacup ride must be at least a little bit new. So this was
Yes,
an
I think it's
expensive
new.
new
I think this
ride.
is like opening weekend.
Which, come on, Steven, opening weekend, brand new ride. This would have brought in a lot of money of just people excited to try the teacups, and you've ruined it. You can't come.
Yeah.
You can't ride anything anymore. I can't do this.
We're done.
We're done.
We're done. But we flash forward, and we end up finding that Garnet gently held Steven in her arms as she went across the pillars and everything.
Yeah, Steven was having a horrific flashback, and Garnet just sort of carefully took him past and said, "I held you while you took a nap."
And Steven's like, a nap.
I wasn't napping. I was having a breakdown.
I was having a traumatic event, but they find themselves back in their original room where they started.
Which is incredibly frustrating. And it seems like I think Pearl and Amethyst, I mean, granted, they didn't have Steven with them, so they could go a lot faster, must have gone through their rooms a couple of times.
Oh, I believe so.
Just enough to get frustrating.
I have to point out that Steven being like, what? I got very visceral, like my brain connected to it's currently a popular TikTok sound, but it's from Glee, which is originally from Rose's song from God. Is that Carousel? No, it's not Carousel. I'm probably wrong. Anyways, plays of all this work, what was it meant for? Why did I do it? And I'm like, that is Steven right now.
Very much. I do love Amethyst in the background, who's clearly gone a bunch of times, coming out of her room, screaming, going, "Get me out of here!" and then runs into another room, just a random one, going, "I'm trying to leave. Please let me leave."
Please, I'm begging you. Oh, it's from Gypsy. It's Rose's Turn. Originally sang by Bette Midler from the musical Gypsy, so no one come at me, please. I'm gonna sing by Kurt on Glee, so yeah, no, they're like going through these. Amethyst is just like freaking out now.
Just running through doors and popping out of random ones and then running back in, trying to get out, while Pearl is trying to logically solve this and going, "There were 16 doors. We went through this door and came out this one. How did we go to the other door? I don't
We went
understand
from
it."
north and came in south. It was a straight line. What is going on? And Amethyst is coming back with like a bear trap on, and then is in an ice cube. And I mean, they're all starting to freak.
Yeah.
And Garnet's like, I think Garnet's future, I think we have a future vision moment because Garnet's like, this, we're gonna have to keep doing this over and over and over. And that is what makes Steven finally just like break down.
Mm-hmm.
And we just get him being like, I don't like this. I can't do it. I don't feel good. I feel like I'm gonna be sick.
He is, right? Sweet boy is stressing. He's nauseous. He's scared. Everything's bad. And then he realizes, wait a minute, I'm gonna be sick. This is just like the teacup ride. I hated that.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm motion sick because the room is making me motion sick. Are we spinning in a circle? Which, look at our smart boy.
right. He's so smart. Like he's silly, but I mean his brain just automatically like, hey, I felt like this before when we were spinning. Maybe that's what's wrong.
Is we're spinning again. And he's, honestly, he accurately tracks. He's like, the rooms keep spinning us, so we keep ending up in the center. No matter what room we go in, it's spinning us around, so we keep coming back to the center. And
Yeah.
I love that Garnet doesn't say anything, just turns around and starts punching through the floor.
Immediately wailing on the floor, which then we see all these spinning rooms and pyramids and triangles and all that jazz, and Pearl re-explains what's going on. And Garnet's like, Steven just said that.
I was like, oh, well, sorry, I was listening. To be fair, she was also trying to unfreeze Amethyst. He was busy.
She was busy, and then we get another kind of like iconography of White Diamond, which is this
The
diamond in the middle.
Yeah. I wonder, is that white diamond, or again, they make gems into buildings, and I'm wondering if this is one of those gems.
I think this is one of those gems, but I think they put a lot of iconography because especially the head triangle, it has the
Yeah.
gem on the forehead like White Diamond, and it kind of has the like facial because I looked it up, like it kind of has the markings that her face has.
Yes. I know this gem or this structure is the obelisk, which the gem in the center that's powering this is an albite.
Yes. So I think it's literally a gem that they use to create it, and that's why it reacts. I think this also might be one of our first like something special about Steven because this head looks at him and then releases the gem. So like, oh, did you sense that this is a diamond?
Exactly. Because I don't think anyone is just allowed to grab that and remove it. But
100% no.
But there is a specific gem who would probably have permission to remove this when necessary, and I assume diamonds would have that highest tier admin permissions to say, hey, I'm just gonna take this.
Yeah, I really do think this is kind of our first, which they cover it very well, that this is probably our first kind of inkling that there's something special about Steven more than just Steven.
Yeah. We did also, I believe, get confirmation on Twitter that the gem, the albite in the center, is a corrupted gem.
Oh,
I'm trying to find that tweet.
that's kind of awesome.
Let me check. It's been deleted, unfortunately, but it was by Matt Burnett.
Oh, okay,
Confirmed a
cool.
bunch of things on Twitter,
Okay.
and they're all deleted. No, I hope someone archived them.
I bet they are.
But the account is deleted. No. But yeah, so it was confirmed that the gem is corrupted. It's a corrupted gem. So I wonder if it wasn't even supposed to twist the rooms around like that, if that's just what the gem decided to do.
Right, yeah. I mean, if it was corrupted, I would say, yeah, probably that wasn't its purpose. And then with the corruption, it did kind of turn into a big like dungeon trap thing.
Hmm.
But once Steven pulls it out, the whole obelisk just kind of like poof,
Hmm.
and sends everyone flying. And of course, Pearl immediately is like, "Oh God, Steven."
I will say also the interesting thing is it when Steven pulls it out, it is yellow, or it starts wrapping things up with yellow light. And I mean, two things. If this is a sort of battlefield, it would make sense to be like this is Yellow Diamond's creation, so it's part of
Yes.
Yellow Diamond's court.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that I forgot is the head turns when Steven grabs it, but it changes from its frowny face to the happy face once Steven is there taking the gem.
Yes.
So again, you are right. I think it is sensing a diamond nearby. And it's like, yeah, okay, perfectly fine. You can take this gem.
Yeah, I think it's sensing a diamond. I think it's sensing, I mean, if it's been corrupted, it could be also sensing pink diamond because, I mean, she was kind of, different from the other ones.
Hmm.
And since, like Steven's here to try and help this diamond.
Because I don't think the gem has its physical form, right? Because it feels like that the thing it's inserted in is just a mechanism to power the temple, but the gem itself is the thing that's recognizing Steven as Diamond and pulling out, but isn't seeing Steven because it doesn't have a physical form and doesn't know, oh, that's not Pink Diamond.
Correct.
And
It's
then
just
instead,
sensing that power that Steven has.
yes,
See, they just like I said, those little nuggets.
little things. I do like that we got confirmation. So yeah, that is an albite. It is a corrupted gem in the series. And it just kind of was controlling the temple, I guess, and not actually, I guess, doing what it was designed to do, which was just uphold the temple.
Mm-hmm.
Also, apparently, according to, again, check out the Steven Universe wiki, it's great. It has the exact same cut as Yellow Diamond.
Oh.
It is the same cut and type as Yellow Diamond. I wonder if, yeah, this was just Yellow Diamond's. I mean, if this was a war, it would make sense to have a outpost for your generals
Mm-hmm.
that is well fortified, so if someone did break in, they'd have to go through the traps. But Yellow
Yes.
Diamond could stay in here and fight, or at least manage the war.
Yes. I like it.
Cool, but you're right, the temple explodes
Everyone's
immediately.
flung out. Of course, Steven is thrown back into strawberries, gets covered in strawberry juice.
Yeah.
You know, they bubble the gem.
I do love that both Pearl and Amethyst are complimenting Steven, going, hey, you did a good job. You actually did a very good job with this.
You did it, Steven. Garnet rolls up and has his ukulele, and Steven does, because Pearl's like, I like regular Steven. And he's like, bet, I'm gonna play a song for you.
He tunes his ukulele one last time, plays a little song, and gets accosted by butterflies.
Immediately accosted by the butterflies. They're on my eyes again! And once again, the Jims just watch him run blindly around.
It's not like they can hurt him, so they're just kind of watching it happen.
And that's the end of the episode.
That is the episode. I I do love that Steven got to be part of their adventure, and this time, as opposed to in the Lunar Sea Spire, he actually solves the issue instead of maybe causing the problem.
He does, but I do have to point out because at the very start, Garnet's like, this is your first serious mission. I was like, oh, was the Lunar Spire not serious?
I mean, I guess not, because there wasn't any real physical danger for Steven, at least not that they were aware of.
That's true.
Because
All that stuff they were surprised at.
yeah, they're like, oh, I didn't know these creatures were here, and I didn't expect for it to be in this kind of level of disrepair. Whereas they knew they were going to a battlefield in a seemingly dangerous place. And also, the Lunar Sea Spire would have been super easy if they had the Moon Goddess statue.
That is very true. It would
It
have
was
been
just a
much
quick
easier.
plop that down and then move on. But no, so that is the episode. Steven is running around, and they do our star wipe, this time on the ukulele.
Yeah,
And then
as the Jims just watch him get it,
he's being actively attacked.
and they're like,
Oh,
oh
well, he's fine. He'll be fine. They're just
no,
butterflies.
it's not that bad. So there we go. We did it.
Did it. Thank you all for joining. I mean, I loved this episode. I thought it was adorable. I love the strawberry fields. I love any Garnet episode we get.
Yes, I think we're starting to hit the part of they're starting to hit their stride in this season.
Yes.
Truly hit the stride, and I mean the next couple of episodes are some of other ones of that are my favorite episodes.
Oh,
So we're
yeah.
getting because the next one is Tiger Millionaire, which I adore Tiger Millionaire.
Love Tiger Millionaire. No, I'm more excited for Steven's Lion coming up.
Yeah, Steven's Lion's coming up. I mean, we're just getting some really solid episodes in season 1.
Yes. But
I'm very excited for them.
same here. But no, alrighty. I think that is it for today's episode.
Yeah, I think that's gonna wrap us up. For all of our quads out there, you can find us on Twitter at Crystal Thems Pod. I'm thinking we might be starting an Instagram soon. I actually, I go to conventions for work, and I'm gonna start trying to grab pictures of cool Steven cosplayers.
Yes.
Which I actually saw one at the last convention I was at. So I have a picture with this lovely person, and that'll probably be one of our first pictures I drop on our Instagram account.
Amazing.
Tag them in
Yeah.
it. You can also send us an email at crystalthemspodcast@gmail.com.
Correct.
Or
We can also be found on Spotify and Google Podcasts. Not on Apple Podcasts just yet. They won't let us sign up, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. Drop a 5-star review. Send us a like or any of that fun stuff. Our intro and outro music is the Fey Mild by Arcane Anthem. Just check out their Patreon. They have a lot of really cool music for like D&D and all that jazz.
It's all amazing.
All really good stuff. So I highly, highly, highly promote and suggest that.
Yes.
But
perfect. Well, thank you all for listening this week. It was great having you here, and remember, we wouldn't be the Crystal Thems without you.
catch you on the flip side.
How dare you do this to me?